Transformers has a weird history with video games. There's definitely more bad ones than good ones, but the good ones are, you know, good. They're good games. Nothing groundbreaking or genre-defining, but that's fine. Honestly, I'm pretty sure the majority of Transformers fans would take a half-decent game with how the recent track record of games has been. I think everybody has their ideal game for any given franchise. Like, peeps want a Dune game where you sit in the desert and get eaten by worms, and others want a Star Wars game where you fix toilets around the galaxy. So please, allow me to be a little self-indulgent just this once. I want to talk about what my dream Transformers game would be. I'm not saying if they don't make this game, I'm going to boycott whoever's making it. This is just a purely hypothetical, what I would like to see happen. Tell me below if you like this concept or what your dream Transformers game would be, and please, don't say FALL of CYBERTRON 2. Everybody wants that, I get it. Overall, Transformers has the uniqueness of its main cast having this special ability, robots in disguise. Beings that can turn into vehicles and other pieces of technology. Transformers games in the past have used this as a way of getting around quicker. Devastation used it as a form of combat, and some games don't use it at all. I wanted to try and think of something that would appeal to a lot of people while also utilizing that unique ability. So my dream Transformers game would be an open world RPG set on Earth. Immediately, I think I might have lost some of you, but hear me out. How many open world games have you played where you're a regular guy walking around a regular city? How many have you played where you're a giant robot that can turn into any vehicle you want, blending into traffic as you seamlessly transition from walking to vehicle? That's the game's USP. It's not something that's been done before on a big scale. The closest we've come to it is the first movie's DS game, but that was very primitive and kind of linear. And I don't know if you've gone back and played it, but it doesn't hold up very well. Having it be set on Cybertron where you fit in would make the game's only USPs in the wide berth of open world games be that you're on an alien planet and you can turn into a car. That's fine on its own, but having it set on Earth opens up a lot more possibilities for unique gameplay opportunities we haven't seen in a while. I'm not saying something like a shitty Ubisoft open world where the map's all... I was thinking of something more akin to a Bethesda game or Rockstar. In this hypothetical game, you'd be able to make your own character. You can choose to align with the Autobots, the Decepticons, or do your own thing. I am a sucker for character customization in games. I spend hours in them just making weirdos. Look, I made Ganondorf in Street Fighter 6. I haven't even played the game. I just like making guys. I've been playing GTA Online since day one back in 2013, and I've amassed a collection of Transformers cars. Look, I've got Bumblebee, Wheeljack, Bumblebee, RC, Wheeljack, Bumblebee, Jazz, Ratchet, and Knockout. So, what do you think?
Are you a faggot or something?
I love customizing and creating my own stuff in games, which is why I'd love a game where you can build your own Transformer from the ground up. You see the uniqueness artists put into their Transformers OCs. Imagine what they could do with a fleshed out character creator. FALL of CYBERTRON had one, but again, it was very primitive, a selection of pre-made chests and heads and arms. I don't know if you've played Mass Builder, but that's a game where you can build a mech to fight in giant robot battles. Something like this where you can select individual parts and shift them around, rotate them and stuff. That's what I'm imagining for it. This is another case of me not actually playing the game and instead messing around in the character creator for hours on end, because the game itself looks ass. I've been putting some thought into how you'd make a character in this game, and I've got two solutions. Option 1 is having a class system of some kind. You can choose between being a heavyweight, a little gymnast, or anything in between. With that limitation, you can only scan vehicles to disguise yourself as that are within that size class, like a Viacom can't just scan a tank or whatever. Option 2 is having a character that's customizable but can turn into anything like Mirage did in Rise of the Beasts. Think about The Crew 2, you ever played that? In that game, you can switch between a car, a plane, and a boat on the fly at any time. Imagine something like that, but you can scan anything you see on the streets. Each vehicle has different stats, so maybe you can store like up to 3 favorites that you can switch to. A motorcycle might have more speed and maneuverability than a car, but it's weaker, while a truck has a higher defense, but you're much slower. I was talking earlier about having the option to ally yourself with one of 3 factions. Obviously, if you allied yourself with the Autobots, you'd get Decepticons coming after you and vice versa, but having the third option, a nail, opens up a lot more opportunities. If you haven't read IDW, nails are non-aligned indigenous life forms. They're not a faction, just Cybertronians that never picked a side. Having the option to not align with either side could give the opportunity to follow some kind of outlaw path like Lockdown or something. Sorta like Fallout New Vegas or something, where you don't have to pick one faction from the get-go and your reputation with the bots and cons is in flux depending on what you do throughout the game. Outside of that, there's your reputation with the human population. If you're feared, they'll run at the sight of you, but if you're liked, they'll, I don't know, give you some skin or something. Imagine how Spider-Man acts around citizens in the Insomniac games. People taking selfies, calling out to you, maybe some throw shit at you because you can't please everyone. There could be reputation systems with organizations like Mech or Sector 7 or G.I. Joe if you really want to be an American patriot. I'm not saying the game's got to have a billion different endings and dialogue trees or whatever, but having this story that isn't set on one strict path where you can play either side, it'd be cool to see these events play out. When I first started thinking about this, I was trying to think of something that would be feasible in a 4 to 5 year development cycle. When people talk about their dream games, they talk about shit that is impossible or would take a very, very long time to produce, and I'm just trying to think of something that is both feasible and has enough going on that would maybe entice people that aren't diehard Transformers fans. Look, even in my fantasies, I impose restrictions on the things I want. What does that say about me? I'm just gonna say right here that I am no game developer. I'm just a pushy little white boy who likes Transformers and Doctor Who and Half-Life and Zelda. I'm aware of the many technical obstacles that have to be overcome in even the most basic of video games. And I'm sure you have a few questions like, what would stop the player from mowing down humans? Or maybe, what sort of enemies would you be facing, and for that matter, what would combat be like? Or even, logistically speaking, wouldn't you have to design a world for every possible approach the player takes in terms of their vehicle mode, leading to a safe and uninteresting open world that ensures no matter what option is chosen, a player won't feel like they chose the wrong class or vehicle? To which I say, shut up. This is my fantasy, this is my birthday cake, and I said it's going to be self-indulgent, so just let me have this. It is actually my birthday in a few days, this Wednesday actually. I'd appreciate it if you could send me $5 in the mail that I can use to fund the development of this game. Alternatively, send me epic fan art, which I could sell as NFTs. I know I'm 2 years behind the trend, but I'm bringing it back. I may not have money, but you know what's free? Imagination. This video might be a little shorter than the ones I usually make here. I just wanted to talk about this thing that's been on my mind for a little while. Being a giant robot fucking shit up in a city is a largely unexplored concept in video games, and it baffles me. I'm not talking about those Gundam games or Armored Core either. I mean something closer to the Transformers 07 and Revenge of the Fallen games. The cathartic satisfaction of exploring an open world as any vehicle, transforming into a giant robot, blowing stuff up while fighting other giant robots before transforming and rolling out, is such a no-brainer to me. I can't wait to see how Transformers Reactivate makes a complete pisser of itself.